I found out I was pregnant the same week my husband finalized our divorce. But by then, it was too late. He had already told the world I was barren. And 5 years later, he froze when he saw the twins. When I married Daniel, I thought love was enough. We weren't rich. We weren't perfect. But we were happy. At least, I thought we were. The first year passed. No baby. The second year. Still nothing. I tried not to think about it. I tried to tell myself that life isn't a race, that love is supposed to be enough. But Daniel's mother seemed to disagree. She started coming over more often, her eyes heavy with expectation, and whispers always followed her wherever she went. "She needs to see a doctor," she said one evening over dinner, her voice tight with impatience. "Maybe she's the problem," Daniel whispered under his breath. And just like that, my happiness began to crumble. Daniel never defended me. He didn't comfort me. He didn't argue. He just became quieter, colder, more distant. I started to feel like a stranger in my own home. Even the way he looked at me changed. His eyes, once warm and kind, now flicked past me like I was invisible, like I was some obligation he tolerated. I would catch glimpses of him staring at other women, or sometimes looking away from me in disappointment. My heart would twist, my stomach would churn, and I began asking myself, am I really not enough? Or is he just leaving me behind in a life I thought we built together? I went through endless tests. One doctor after another, each appointment chipping away at my hope. "There's nothing medically wrong," the last doctor said finally. I should have been relieved. I should have felt grateful. But Daniel didn't look relieved. He looked disappointed. 3 months later, he sat me down at the kitchen table. The morning sun was spilling through the blinds, but it didn't warm me the way it used to. The smell of coffee filled the room, but it was bitter on my tongue, as if the air itself had become heavy. "I can't keep waiting," he said quietly. "I want a family." I felt my chest tighten. "We are a family," I whispered. "We've built this together." But he had already made up his mind. His silence said more than words ever could. I begged. I cried. I reminded him of every moment of love we had shared. I reminded him of our dreams, of the life we said we would build together. But when he looked at me, I didn't see love in his eyes anymore. I saw something else. Something final. The day we signed the papers, he didn't even look at me. He just said, "I deserve a child." That sentence broke something inside me. I walked out of the courthouse feeling numb, like my heart had been hollowed out. I didn't even notice the cold wind biting at my face. I didn't notice people passing by. All I could feel was emptiness and shame, because somehow, somewhere in the world, I was failing at the one thing I thought would complete our love. A week later, I started feeling sick. At first, I thought it was stress. Too much crying. Too many sleepless nights. Too much heartbreak. Until the test showed 2 lines. Positive. I stared at it for an hour. Then I laughed. Then I cried. Then I sat on the bathroom floor and whispered to myself, how is this even possible? Because the man who left me for being barren had just thrown away his miracle. I never told him. Not out of revenge. Not out of spite. Not even out of bitterness. I didn't tell him because he had already made it clear I wasn't enough. And I realized something else, sitting there with tears streaming down my face. I didn't need him to be enough. I was enough. I could give life. I could love. I could build a family. Without him, I moved to another city. I built a life on my own terms. Every night was quiet. Every day was mine. And I watched my belly grow and grew with it, learning how to love someone I had never met. 2 little lives, 2 little souls that carried more of me than he ever could. I spent hours talking to my belly, whispering every little secret I had kept locked away. I read them stories I used to think were just for children, but now they felt like bridges connecting my heart to theirs. I sang lullabies I never thought I'd know by heart, sometimes softly, sometimes barely holding back tears. I imagined their tiny fingers curling around mine, their delicate toes wiggling as they kicked in excitement. I pictured their faces in every little expression, the mischievous grin they would give when I caught them sneaking cookies, the the wide-eyed wonder when they saw snow for the first time, the tiny laughs that would fill the rooms of the home I was building for them. Sometimes, I would close my eyes and imagine their first steps, unsteady but determined, holding on to me for support, trusting me completely even though they had never met me. I imagined them calling me Mom for the first time, and my heart would swell with a mix of awe and joy so deep it almost hurt. I pictured their smiles lighting up the darkest corners of my past, melting away the fear, the sadness, and the shame that Daniel had left behind. Each day, each imagined laugh, each imagined cuddle gave me strength, a quiet, unshakable strength I didn't know I had. Even when the world felt heavy, when memories of betrayal tried to pull me under, I would press my hands to my belly and whisper, "You are my light. You are my joy. You are my miracle." And in that moment, I realized that love doesn't always come from someone else. Sometimes, it grows quietly from within, blossoming in the small, tender moments that nobody else sees. 5 years later, I ran into him. I never expected it. It was a wedding, one of those fancy parties full of people who smile at strangers and sip champagne they can't afford. And there he was. Older. Tired. But still handsome. Still carrying himself like he owned the world. And then, he saw them. My twins. My beautiful boys. My entire universe. He froze. His mouth opened slightly, then closed. He didn't know where to look. His eyes darted between them and me, then back again, like he was trying to comprehend something impossible. And I realized, that look. It wasn't shock. It wasn't anger. It was regret. Pure, unfiltered regret. He followed me outside later, trying to speak, trying to explain. "You were pregnant?" he asked, almost too softly to hear. "Yes," I said. "I was. Why didn't you tell me?" I looked at him, calm now. Calm and strong. "You told me I couldn't give you a child." His lips parted. He had nothing to say. I thought about all the nights I had cried, all the mornings I had woken up to emptiness, all the moments I had wondered if I would ever be enough. And now here he was, staring at the life he walked away from. "I remarried," he whispered finally. "It didn't work. I didn't feel joy. I didn't feel anger. I felt distant. And I realized something very important. Love doesn't always come back the way you expect it. Sometimes, it comes back quietly. Sometimes, it comes back humbly. Sometimes it comes back. But you've already grown stronger than it ever was." I turned to walk away. My twins were tugging at my hand, laughing, running into the sunlight. And for the first time in years, I felt peace. Because I didn't need his love anymore. I had enough of my own. And I knew, finally, that some betrayals aren't meant to destroy you. They're meant to make you stronger. If you were me, would you let him back into your children's lives? Or is some betrayal unforgivable? Tell me in the comments. Because sometimes, love comes back. But not the way we expect.